in science and
What
technology.
is the percentage of GDP like?
It's around 0.14% of GDP.
And why do you think it is so, considering that the war is over now, and there were also criticisms that maybe the defense budget was, there was more than, I think, 270 million allocated compared to last time. So do you see it's also important to allocate that to the defense, considering that we are after a war, but also at the same time areas like technology, why is it still only at that such small percentage?
That's right. Really, this is a question that the whole country should ask those who allocate funds, because now if you look at our neighbors, India has always exceeded 1% of GDP, and their target last year was 2% of GDP. Pakistan has targeted 1% of GDP, and I think they reached about 0.8% of GDP last year. If you go look at Singapore, they go well above 2% of GDP. Korea exceeds 3% of GDP. The countries like Japan, the United States, they have a very high GDP, and even of that, more than 3% is invested. Now, if you take what happened when Obama came into power in the United States, despite the serious economic crisis, he said the American economy had lagged behind the rest of the world, and the reason why they had fallen back was that they were not doing enough research and development. They were not coming out with newer technologies, and therefore, despite the economic hardships, he said he is going to allocate an extra 1% of GDP over and above what they were already allocating for science and technology, for research and development. So that is the difference in attitude,
right,
which unfortunately in our country is not there. There is a lack of appreciation of this, and we see what happens in terms of the big brain drain of scientists.
Yeah, just before the break, continuing the same trend, Minister, is there, like for the ministry, is there a vision to at least reach maybe 1% of GDP by way of contribution, maybe by 2012, or I don't know, is there a target for you defined?
Well, I mean, I have been always asking for more funding for science and technology and for research and development, and I thought that last year, for instance, and maybe this year in the next budget, at least 0.4% of GDP should be allocated for science and technology. We can't, you see, at once you can't absorb that entire amount. It has to go up step by step. But the capacity of science and technology, the development of laboratories, of the infrastructure, getting the equipment. If you look at the country, we don't have a single world-class laboratory. Now, we have to compete with other countries which have world-class laboratories, where they are doing high-level research and development.
Yeah, we will stop shortly here and we'll take a small break and we'll be back with you soon. Stay with us.